Hey everybody, and welcome to this episode of Transit Tangents. My name is Lewis.
And I'm Chris.
And today we are going to be revisiting a few topics that we covered earlier this year that have all had some pretty, mostly good news updates to them.
Yeah.
Which is always nice to see, especially now. I mean, we've been a little doom and gloom with some of the recent funding mechanisms and all sorts of stuff in regards to transit, but it's nice to have a little bit of good news.
Yeah, good to have good news. So this will be a little bit of an update episode, maybe a little bit shorter today, but we wanted to make sure that you're up to date on the latest on these 4 topics.
We're going to start off with one that was a pretty exciting topic to talk about at the time, and it's gotten some positive news, which is the development of Sunrail in Orlando. And in that episode, we kind of posed the question, is Brightline spurring public transit investment in Florida? And we were kind of like a cautious yes at the time, and the cautious yes has turned less cautious.
Yeah.
It is spurring.
Now it's just yes.
Yes, yes, it is. So for those of you who didn't see that episode, number 1, I'd recommend you check it out. But number 2, for a quick reminder, Sunrail, as it exists today, is a commuter service that goes north-south running through Orlando. It's almost 60 miles long, or about 60 miles long.
It's a really long track.
Which is pretty wild that it does that.
It gets you close to the airport,
but not quite.
Not there.
It also, interfaces pretty well with the existing bus services that are in the Orlando region. In 2024, it saw about 1.2 million riders.
Which it's good because that's about 12% higher than the year before. So there's definitely growth on the line.
Yeah, and the proposed Sunrail expansion will hopefully only add to this. So the expansion that was being proposed is for the Sunshine Corridor that would essentially connect the airport in Orlando, which is also the current terminus of Brightline. It would connect it to the existing Sunrail north-south line, and it would connect further to the west, encompassing some areas closer to the convention center and destinations such as Universal and Disney Springs. So this would basically connect downtown Orlando, the airport, as well as some of these big, both tourism, but also employment centers, all via rail.
Yeah, which is huge for an area that is largely car-focused. I mean, Orlando has a lot of highways all over the place. So this is a huge advancement for public transit in this area, and hopefully gets more people off the road, especially if you're connecting these employment centers. Like, get people off the road and allow them to take trains from their place of residence to Disney, where they're probably working.
Right, and when we talked about this in that episode, we had mentioned that the next step that was needed was to raise $6 million for the project development and environmental study. We noted at the time that $6 million is not that much in the grand scheme of things when you're talking about governments. At the time, $2 million had already been contributed from the Florida Department of Transportation. $500,000 had been contributed from Seminole County, and $500,000 from the city of Orlando. And as of now, the entire $6 million is now funded. So to make up that remainder, we had Universal actually chipping in $2 million. And then you also had the Central Florida Tourism Oversight District, as well as Orange County, each chipping in $500,000 each.
Disney could have paid for something.
I was actually a little surprised. I mean, so we talked about it in the episode. There was some drama between, like, where will the stops be on that side. And Universal had set aside some land, I believe, that they've kind of given to the project. The stops won't be directly at Universal or directly at Disney Springs, but it will be close enough for like a little shuttle.
Yeah, and I think it's a smart move on their part, especially with Universal. I mean, they've invested a lot of money in the area now. They opened up a new park. Not advertising for the new park, but I want to go now use this line to get to the new park.
Yes. One thing that I noted here, I mean, like, you don't think of Florida as a transit state, just like you don't think of Texas.
So well.
Yeah, and I mean, like, the fact that, like, right off the bat was like, oh, Florida DOT, yeah, we'll throw in $2 million for the study. Yeah. Right away, it was positive, and then I pulled a quote from Mass Transit Magazine here. FDOT described the project, quote, as another transformational project for our region. And it's
Can
just
you
like,
imagine TxDOT saying that about any non-highway project?
They would never. They wouldn't even comment, and they would immediately deny the $2 million request. So it's pretty wild. Texas,
what are you doing? We can be better than Florida.
Right. You're letting. Okay. Okay, we're gonna try to create some conservative competition for transit. Greg Abbott, you're letting Ron DeSantis beat you out. Come on, Greg, get on it. Sorry. This study is going to take 2 years and is a necessary step to gain federal dollars for this. Now, obviously, federal dollars will be a whole other hurdle, but my guess is this being Florida, Ron DeSantis and Trump, although they've had a rocky relationship, I think they're mostly have made amends at this point.
Yeah.
But there will need to be federal dollars for this, as the price tag is somewhere in the realm, I've got it on here, is about $4 billion to make this happen. Brightline will also be very much involved in this, as this corridor will also be where the Brightline trains will run before making their way eventually to Tampa, which is
I think they're going to be sharing the lines, right? Or at least sharing the right of way.
Exactly. Yep. So wanted to give you that piece of positive news there, though, that project is still moving forward.
Yeah. Right now, I think it's still in the study phase, though. As you said, we raised the money for it. That study phase will take about 2 years before they then submit for those federal dollars. So a little bit of time, definitely plenty of time to keep this as a recurring topic to come back to.
Yep.
The next on our list is the Purple Line in Maryland. So we actually got a chance to do an episode about the Purple Line. We went to one of the stations that was sort of being built at the time. It was very cold.
It was freezing.
So cold. This is part of our larger DC episode. So take a chance to go back and look at that Purple Line episode, look at the DC episode if you're interested in that region. But as a recap, the Purple Line is eventually going to be a ring route that goes around the DMV area. For now,
that's being optimistic, but the
ultimate plan, the grand plan is it will go all the way around the DMV area. What we are seeing right now is the Maryland portion that is nearing completion, around 70% complete.
Yeah,
and it's the one that is connecting. I forgot which
Bethesda to New Carrollton, basically, is that stretch where it's connecting. And first off, I did want to apologize as well. I said Silver Springs, like throughout the entire episode, and y'all were not happy. Not happy at all.
One spring.
Silver Spring, one spring. My bad. I mean, I don't think it detracted from the rest of the episode. I even wrote Silver Springs on some of the maps too, and they were like, "Oh my god!" So apologies. My bad. But yeah, so over 76% complete. The big news, though, as of recently on the Purple Line, is that dynamic testing began in April on some of the alignments. So they've actually got the light rail vehicles on the alignment, testing, driving them, which is pretty exciting. And that is an important step forward in any project like this. They've made a lot of progress on kind of all different types of segments. You've got some big flyover bridges that have been complete. The tunneling section near Bethesda is in really good shape right now and is progressing forward. And this was kind of a unique project because it does have tunnels, bridges, on street. It's a little bit of everything. So
that's a little bit of everything. This one also has got a lot of criticism because it's one of the most expensive projects by rail mile in the country, and so there's been a lot of people giving it flack. But to see it finally getting to a point where we're in the testing phase, where we're nearing the completion phase. As you said, that is really, really excited to see.
Yep.
And even though it's been plagued by some delays and, again, cost overruns, the current target date to open is winter of 2027.
Yes.
So we are quickly approaching that.
Yep. But happy to see the little positive progress forward here. If you're interested in more on this project, we went very in-depth in that episode, which we'll have linked here for you. We're going to jump right back into this episode in just a second, but first, if you have not liked this video, go ahead and do so. Also, leave a comment. We love reading all of them and respond to as many as we can. And be sure that you are subscribed so that you catch every episode as they come out.
Please share this with your friends, and if you don't have time to watch YouTube videos in the future, you can catch us on any of the podcast platforms that are out there. Just be sure to leave us a rating and give us a comment.
Our next update here, we have kind of revisited this topic a handful of times. This is an update on the funding for transit in Dallas. We talked to our friends at DATA, the Dallas Area Transit Alliance, throughout multiple episodes in the last couple of months. Last time we spoke with them, had kind of given us the update that there had been a bill introduced into the Texas legislature with the goal of essentially cutting DART's budget by more than 25%. It was a a budget cut and then also a reallocation of some of the funding.
I want to make a call out to Data and the hard work that they've done in trying to fight the legislature's attempt to maybe kill this transit agency, essentially, which we can talk about. But they have really focused on getting the word out, doing petitions, getting people involved. They brought over 24 people down to Austin for a few days to do canvassing at legislators' doors in their offices, got a ton of meetings. They really put in the work.
And this is an organization that is like barely, they might not even be a year old yet. They're barely a year old if they're a year old. So kudos to their team who have kind of gotten this going. I know like Connor and Tyler, Quee, several people whose names I'm forgetting right now. But yeah, they've really been crushing it to make this happen. Yeah. And the hard work has paid off so far. There's still a little bit of things that could go wrong here, but the big opposition that they came to the State House to come and speak with legislatures about was this specific House bill. That House bill is no longer. There is still a version in the Senate, but it has kind of just been sitting there. The Texas legislation session is almost done. If when we're going to edit this has already been done, we'll insert a little disclaimer right here saying that Senate bill has also been killed, but some cautious optimism right now that the DART bill has not moved forward.
Yeah, so love to see that. Love to see the community involvement in fighting this. Another update here is that the city of Plano, which was sort of the driving force in fighting DART and enlisting other cities to oppose the DART board and go to the legislature to force the legislature to then reduce the amount of contribution and taxes and all that. Go back to our DART episode. There's a lot happening there. But Plano, who was the main instigators, has had a recent election in May of this year. And they have elected new members of their city council, 4 new places actually, and 2 of the new council members are pro-DART.
Or at least more transit friendly.
Definitely friendlier to DART. They still want to challenge DART on where is our money going, how can it be better used, but 2 of the candidates are not in favor of removing the funding entirely.
Right.
We have 2 other candidates that are a little less friendly to DART, but it does look like there's some pro-transit advocates now within the Dallas, within the Plano City Council. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out in the future.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, in general, this is it was not looking good for a little bit. I feel like the bill was kind of having some momentum and whatnot. It made a lot of news, but glad to see what's seeming like a positive resolution to this.
Absolutely. The last one on our list is right here at home. It's a topic that we've talked about several times, and that is the Austin CAP program.
Yeah, the Cap and Stitch program we talked about in depth when we did an episode while we were in Dallas, actually. We talked about Clyde Warren Park, where we were in Dallas, but we also talked about the proposals for Cap and Stitch here in Austin. The short version of the story is with the I-35 expansion, TxDOT trying to throw a bone to the city of Austin, if you will, said, hey, well, if you want, we can build the infrastructure so that you can have caps. Now, it's not really throwing that much of a bone when you're going to make the city pay for the infrastructure to put the caps on and everything having to do with the caps, but I digress there, I guess. There had been several proposals brought forward that we kind of went more in depth on, and they were really expensive was the issue. If you were to go through with all of the Cap and Stitch options that had been laid out, it was over $1 billion.
Started at $800 million, and then it quickly rose to over $1.2 billion.
Yeah, which is a lot of money, especially when it's just basically the city doing it. I mean, we did end up at one point, well, not at one point, they technically still have a Reconnecting Communities grant that would cover something like $140 million of cost, but now all of these sorts of grants like that are up in the air, given that it's coming from the federal government. So the city had to basically try to decide what to do next. There had been some delays from TxDOT. This initially was supposed to be decided on back in March, fall, and then in December, and then in March. Or it might have been, December and then in March. The can kept getting kicked down the road, essentially. TxDOT was having delays, which worked out to the favor of the Austin City Council, I would say, because they had some more time to figure out what to do. And in the end, we've ended up with kind of a compromise commitment here from the City Council. So I'm going to read from KUT's transportation reporter here just to have the specifics. So the Austin City Council approves support columns for parks over I-35 at Cesar Chavez to 7th Street, 11th to 12th Street, as well as 2 300-foot-long stitches close to the Red Line crossing near Airport Boulevard. There had been a couple other proposals all put forward. The council was pretty split on this, actually, basically right down the middle, and then a few amendments had been tossed in, so there were kind of 2 competing ones, and this ultimately, from Zoe Codbury, was the proposal that went through. Important to note here that it only, right now, commits to supporting funding for the support system, I guess. So no caps actually being covered yet.
The way that I thought we should have done it from the beginning. I mean, the caps, we can spend the next 100 years building the caps whenever the city has money. That's fine. I think most people in Austin would understand that and be fine with that. But the fact that we were sort of forced to decide you build the supports now or you don't build them at all.
Right.
It's frustrating, but I say just build the supports and then do the rest of it later.
Well, although I will say you wanted the full caps up north too,
I would love
the
full. I would love them.
There is no support. There's no support for that
I know,
right now.
I know.
Okay.
And I would love the full program where you had caps stretching across the entire stretch of interstate, all of that stuff. I would love to see it. But at the same time, I will take what we can get. And if it's just building the support system for it, let's build the support system.
Yep, yeah. And so, like, you know, the most important ones, in my view, like the Cesar Chavez to 7th Street one makes a lot of sense. That's going to have a huge impact for the downtown area. The 11th to 12th Street one, kind of weird to me, honestly. I mean, I guess it doesn't hurt, but, like, if we're going to spend however much money to do that, I don't quite get it. The University of Texas at Austin, they kind of have unlimited dollars, so we actually haven't heard an update from them.
I haven't heard
time,
anything
but
either.
My guess is they're going to cap their whole huge stretch, which is going to be probably lovely. And then the 2 stitches up north were kind of a compromise. So there was a plan for a full cap up there, which again to me felt pretty strange. I mean, especially for right now, it'd be like connecting some like strip malls and a weird area.
Some areas that could definitely be redeveloped. And I think in the future, this is going to end up being a transit stop, a train stop, train station. There we go.
Yeah.
On the Red Line, and there will be more development in this area. So I do think that is going to be a great amenity for the future.
Well, it's not going to exist. There won't be a...
When they build it. They're building
the train station or the
They're
cap?
building the stitches. The stitches are going to provide more space.
The stitches will be good, yeah. So, yeah, you're going to have, 2 wide bridges, I guess.
I think the stitches, though, are going to provide space to be able to add something like this.
So the train, there will be room for train and bike lane, basically, there. But the cap in that area is not.
I'm saying it's still, even if it's not a cap, it's still an opportunity to improve the transit station and connections in this area.
Personally, I like the cap up there, the stitch up there better than the cap, because I don't see the long game in the cap up there as much, only because like you're still gonna have a pretty wide road for the frontage roads, and then it's like Airport Boulevard, and it's just like that's another giant road. It just doesn't feel like as pleasant of a potential experience that you might have downtown, but we'll see. So, I mean, in general, I think that they've landed in a good spot on it. I was curious where it was going to go.
Yeah, I was really nervous that we were not going to get anything, so
yeah.
I'm happy to see at least some progress on it.
Yep, no, I think, and I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, too, in the sense that, like, there's still a lot of reliance on TxDOT here to make this happen. The cost could go up dramatically still. TxDOT's track record, I'll link this person's Twitter account, but there's some estimates on like just like looking at what TxDOT says the budget's going to be and then what it actually is on highway projects, and the chart is not looking good. So there's a very strong likelihood that Austin City Council is just going to be on the hook for more money later, which is not great.
Yeah, we're never getting an interview with TxDOT at this point.
I don't even want one.
We've never. Have we said anything good about TxDOT?
There's not that much good to say, I don't think.
It's not true. If there are other episodes that you've watched that you want to see updates on, please let us know in the comments or shoot us an email. We'd love to do a deep dive into any of the episodes that we've done in the past and provide you with the latest. And we'll probably do more episodes like these in the future too that are a little shorter, easier to consume, and just kind of revisit the topics we've already discussed.
Yeah, and I think it's important to be like, hey, here's a little status update. So, with all that being said, though, if you have not liked this video already, please do so. It helps out quite a bit. You can also leave a comment and let us know if you agree, disagree with the things we had to say about these sorts of things.
If you want to support the show, you can do so via our Patreon, where these episodes will typically come out a little sooner. You can also support us by visiting our merch store, using Buy Me a Coffee. We just had somebody recently buy us 5 coffees. Thank you so much for that.
I got the caffeine jitters afterwards. With all that being said, thank you all so much for watching, and enjoy the rest of your Transit Tangents Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm saving that dough. Public transit's where it's at. Watch me go.
Silver Springs